The title of this story is Eta, for rage quitting after the presumably unfair death of my character. Am I the, okay, I think I know what that means. Am I the butthead for rage quitting after the presumably unfair death of my character? So this is going to be my first post ever out there. Hopefully it'll be my last too. It will after I read it all, because he's like, oh my gosh, he read it on stream. I'm never posting again. Hopefully it'll be the last two, and in the future, there'll be no such major dramas in my friend group. Nobody likes dramas in their friend groups, man. So for this particular situation, which I admit could be very dubious, I'll need to give you a ton of context. All right, we're all here for context. Me, forever DM turned fresh player, and my friends are consistently playing D&D and Pathfinder for 3 to 4 years. And everyone was getting along pretty well, except me and the guy we'll call New DM. Me and New DM go back a while, and ever since our first game, we've had some sort of problems and conflicts with each other. In the beginning, it was due to the mainly New DM acting up and overall being very toxic to me and other players. This is something that, like, I want to know what the definition of toxic is, because some people have such loose definitions of toxic. You know, like somebody might just like look at you the wrong way and it's like, oh my gosh, that's toxic. Ah! So I hope that we go into the detail. I haven't read this yet. I hope that we really go into the details of like what this very toxic behavior is, because dude, sometimes people like the smallest of things comes across as toxic. Oh, and it's just like, that's just human beings interacting with each other. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Anyway, toxic behavior, overall being very toxic to me and other players, being passive aggressive, okay, leveraging his position as a proactive player in order for us to cut him some slack or make an in-game decision in his favor. So this is the definition of very toxic, passive aggressive. Okay. And then leveraging his position as a proactive player in order to cut us some slack or make an in-game decision in his favor. Yeah, I mean, that's crummy, right? When you're trying to finagle and get things to go your way when they shouldn't. Like, I can definitely see that. And over time, if you're constantly doing that, I can see that being like very, very not cool. And if somebody is consistently, I don't know, it's like if somebody's consistently being passive aggressive to the extent that like it affects the atmosphere and everybody kind of feels that tension and it gets old, like, dude, I'd probably be removing somebody like that from my group if that goes on too long. And then somebody who expects special behavior, I think that's probably gonna get cut off really quickly as well. So I don't know how toxic you would classify that as, but it's definitely not a good situation. And that's something that somebody probably should have fixed one way or another without it going on too long. All right. However, I should note a couple of things here. Even though as a player, he was toxic and sometimes unruly, he absolutely excelled in roleplay and was initiating a ton of things, even offering me to help with the creation of some homebrew mechanics, which I admit did make our games more interesting and thrilling. So I always gave him the benefit of the doubt, letting him stay in our circle and take initiative in some crucial moments for our party or game. I had a player once myself who was an amazing role player, did a great job role playing, but there were some negative things he brought to the table that ultimately resulted in him getting kicked from the table. And so I think this is always something that a game master, a group should consider, right? Like, most people are not all negative, right? Everything they bring is a negative aspect. Most human beings have good things about them and bad things about them. And the totality of those is what makes a decision, such as whether you keep them around or whether you ask them to leave and find a table where they're gonna fit in better, right? So somebody's always gonna have good things about them, right? The question is the bad things making the game bad enough to consider booting them or whatever? By the way, don't forget we have a Kickstarter going on right now. Our Layers and Legends 2 Kickstarter is live. It's kicking butt. We are closing in on our next stretch goal of opening up an entire new adventure for people. Let's go over to the Kickstarter page and see exactly where we're at on here. So you can get 2 big, fat, huge books stuffed full of 5th edition content to use in your games. Adventures, traps, puzzles, monsters, new rule sets, whole bunches of cool stuff to use in your games. Helps you reduce your prep time, something you can drag and drop into your games where you need it. And obviously it's professionally developed, which means that like it's really good, high quality content. It's not something turdy that like ChatGPT will spit out for you. It's like really solid crap. Anyway, we're very close. Our next stretch goal is at 240K. We're gonna unlock a new adventure for all of our backers. So we are 8 grand away from it. So we're closing in on that bad boy. And next week is the last week to back this thing and get the exclusive Kickstarter prices. Like our backers always get special prices for helping to back the Kickstarter while it's live and making it a reality. So you always will get a better price if you back the Kickstarter live than if you get it anytime after the fact. So now is the time to get in on the action and get your 2 big, fat, beefy books, like big, beefy books. Each of these books is over 300 pages. Okay, we're not pulling some shenanigans where it's like, oh, we're giving you 2 books, but they're only 100 pages each. We don't do that bullcrap. When we publish a book, it is a book of size that you would expect, like big books. The Layers and Legends 2 one, the top one you see right there, that one right there has got 30 plus adventures in it. So that one, I think, we haven't gotten through all of the layout yet, but I think that one is gonna push 400 pages. It's gonna be close. It's gonna be stinking close. So these are real fat books. These are books sizes that you would expect. Tons of content. We're not pulling some shenanigan foolery where it's like, we're giving you a book, but it's 100 pages. We don't do that crap, right? These are big, fat, juicy books, all right? So anyway, if you want a whole bunch of crap for your games, go out, back the project, get some cool crap. Fast forward a few years, and now new DM is, you guessed it, offering, so a few years. Okay, so we are now in a situation where we have put up with toxic behavior for a few years. I mean, this was classified as very toxic behavior. So we're putting up with very toxic behavior for a few years. That's crazy. I don't know that I could do that. Fast forward a few years, a new DM, as you guessed it, offering each and every one of us to play in his game and custom setting. Right then and there was some major red flags for me. The world is basically over-the-top dark fantasy, where gods are very much real, walking among mortals and governing their respective states. Okay, got it. How is that dark fantasy? The thing is, humans live in what could be called a glorified bandit state, with a good chunk of their gods being liars, manipulators, and crazed scientists. Only 2 that are somewhat morally good or right. Okay, so like, okay, I get it. So the new DM is offering you all to play in his game, right? So you're being offered to play in his game. I don't know what happens here, but like, if you have a player who is overly toxic and you've been playing with them for a few years, you gotta think that you're probably not gonna play in their game, right? Like I probably wouldn't. Like, if I can barely stand playing with them as a player, do I really want them as a game master? Like, I think that has to be something that you consider, right? Like, whether you're going to do this or not. Well, too bad. The token good god in said pantheon is a loser who fought against totally not Skaven and lost badly. What does that mean? What the heck does that mean? The token good god in said pantheon is a loser who fought against totally not Skaven. I have no idea what the heck that means. Does anybody know what that means? All right, maybe there was some context there or something that, or maybe it's something in pop culture that I just don't understand. Anyway, he lost, and who can barely fight near apocalyptic cult within his country? Same goes for the only lawful good that has tried and failed to push for reforms within this circus of haha, I'm so evil and vile human deities. Of course, this setting also has elves, the race which is not only immortal, but elves aren't immortal. Elves are not immortal. Okay, maybe in this setting they are, but in general they are not. But also is much more technologically advanced and simply cannot lie on a biological level. Okay, so this sounds like a setting specific type of elf. Okay, check. And are servants of some S+ tier goddess of death. So now the elves, okay, so technologically advanced, they cannot lie. Okay, so hold on a second. So you have elves that are technologically advanced, they cannot lie due to biology, and they're servants of an S+ tier goddess of death. Therefore, can totally kick everybody else's butts. Okay, all right, so we have some interesting elves. Got it. In this world. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't think I'd probably want to play in this world here. But anyway, that's, everybody has a different cup of tea. All right. Okay, here we go. I absolutely hated the premise. What? Okay, so let me get this straight. So you suffer for years under a toxic player, and they pitch this game with them as the game master running the game, and then you hate the premise. Check. So the next part of the story should be, I don't join the game. Toxic players probably make the worst game masters, I would wager a guess. And you don't enjoy the premise of the game. So I'm sure he joins the game. I'm sure he does, because otherwise there wouldn't be a story, right? But my question would be, why would you join the game? What would possibly compel you to join a game like that? Toxic player becomes DM in a world and setting and story premise that you don't like at all. Like, are you being paid to join the game? Like, I don't know why you would join this game. Like, it's like, suffer more. Why would you do this? I'm probably razzing a little too hard on the OP, but I can't help it. It seems like you should run from this game. Like, why wouldn't you run from this game? This can't go badly. It's kind of like, it's midnight, you know, the bars just got out. You hear some things crashing and making noise in an alleyway, and then you hear a voice that says, hey, come over here. It's like, you don't go to the alleyway. Are you kidding me? Bad idea. The red flags are like everywhere. So you don't go there. It's like, and then it's like, okay, I went to the alleyway and I got mugged and stabbed, you know, and I'm in the hospital and now I have permanent injury and I can never walk again. And like, well, you shouldn't have gone to the alleyway, man, you know? Anyway, but maybe you were drunk too and you just didn't see it coming. Okay, anyway, fair. Let's go back to the story. I absolutely hated the premise, yet I rolled with it, hoping that maybe we as players would be able to make some changes in this world. What? There's no reason to think that you would possibly be able to make changes in this guy's world. The guy he already is passive aggressive. He already has, as a player, he was manipulating the situation and stuff so that he could get his way. Like, he was already steamrolling and manipulating people as a player. What do you think he's going to do as a game master? Like, he's just gonna be worse as a game master. You're not. There's only bad things coming. So I created this Joan of Arc type warrior lady, basically a servant of the good god mentioned above. Thing is, that's where the situation starts to get really controversial, and I'll admit that. You see, this warrior lady had a vigilante class because she was posing as a man, an arrogant and cocky man, which did get the character into trouble once or twice. So with that out of the picture, I'll try to describe my possible wrongdoings below after I introduce the main cast. Nevertheless, stop biting me. Nevertheless, the new DM have cooperated with me, giving me an enchanted set of armor that basically helped my character conceal her identity. Okay, I mean, that's off to a decent start, right? The game master is rolling along with the idea of your character concept. Okay, you want to be a woman posing as a man. Okay, cool. We'll give you like a set of armor, right? That's going to help you conceal your identity. A magical set of armor. Sweet. So at least the game master is rolling along with the idea at that point. So that's perhaps a good sign. Now, time to get to the main cast and story itself. Besides me, there were 3 players important to this whole situation. We'll call them the Wizard, the Alchemist, and the Druid. To cut a long story short, the Druid was my main buddy and supporter throughout this whole mess, and played as character with somewhat established moral compass. The Wizard was sort of mediator, taking neutral stance both out of character and in character, which made him do some really questionable things in game. And finally, the Alchemist, while being certainly a chill guy in real life, rolled an absolute monstrous, totally not Scaven. Okay, so what does Scaven mean? Somebody has to tell me what Scaven means, or should I Google search this? scientist with a ton of servant NPC guarding him and running around him. What does scaven mean? Am I gonna get into trouble if I do a Google search on what this means? What? Stop biting me. What does scaven mean? What the heck is this? He keeps using this term. I don't know what this means. The scaven, sometimes known as the ratmen, the ratkin, the child of the horned rat, or the underfolk, are a malevolent and diabolical race of large, intelligent humanoid rats. What the heck does this mean in the context of this story? Minimalist says, but Luke, what if the Dark Alley Herald is offering bacon? Well, if they're offering bacon, all bets are off. Like, what are you going to do? But that doesn't make any sense to call this his reference of scaven doesn't make any sense in the context of this. Totally not scaven. What does that mean? So it's a Ratman scientist? So it means it is a Ratman scientist? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. I don't understand this. I think he must be talking about Ratman, but it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why the emphasis is totally not scaven scientist. I don't know why the emphasis is there. It doesn't make sense to me. I think you can see where this is going. No, I can't. I really can't see where this is going. I mean, we know, okay, so like, yes, correct. We know that this ends in absolute disaster. Yes, but I have no idea where this is going whatsoever. No idea where this is going. I don't know if anybody else knows where this is going. Right from the very start of the story, we had not only in character, but out of character conflicts. Why? Why are there in character and out of character conflicts? I guess it's because of the things that people were doing or something. So anyway, there's character conflicts. There's in character and out of character conflicts. Okay, why? Because I was not fond of what New DM was doing with the alchemist, the alchemist character. What was happening to the alchemist character? I missed that. Did he talk about that, or is he going to talk about it? Let's hope he talks about it. From the get-go, the man who I knew would be up to some really suspicious stuff got the mechanic to surround himself with the servants that are, in essence, just additional characters with the same stats and skills as PCs. Okay, so he cloned the characters and put them in the game, it sounds like. And he managed to effortlessly get not one, but 3 of such servants in prologue only. Okay. In addition to this, Alchemist, okay, so the Alchemist got the clones? What? So hold on a second. The Alchemist character got the clones? In the prologue? In addition to this, Alchemist was the first one to get his character arc started. In the same prologue, he recruited an allied, totally not scaven. I'm tired of this reference. I'm over this reference. I don't know what the heck he means by totally not scaven all the time. Okay. NPC. Oh, maybe he's saying that they betray you. Maybe he's trying to say that when they're scaven, they betray you. And so he's emphasizing that all of these NPCs and stuff and characters get planted in the story and then they end up scavenging you or betraying you. Maybe that's what he's trying to say. This feels so like colloquial though. Like, you know, the meaning of this is hidden by like, you know, localized speech and crap. In addition to this, the Alchemist was the first. So the Alchemist has clones of the other characters, it sounds like. The Alchemist was the first to get his character arc started. In the same prologue, he recruited an allied, totally not scaven NPC into our party. So he's got clones and NPCs already into the party. So this game is really starting off with like the ball rolling. And we basically could do nothing to stop or hinder him. Okay, so it sounds like the game master has allowed the Alchemist to have clones of the main characters as his like minions, underlings. And now he has an NPC as well that is on his side. So the Alchemist just has a whole bunch of overpowered stuff. Like, what kind of game is this? Do people run games like this? So you give a player, so the player has their PC and then they have 3 other, like, I don't know, NPCs that they're running that help them. And then they get another one. So one character has like 5 people that they're running in the game. Do people run games like this? I've never been in a game like this. I don't think I'd ever run a game like that. Like, how do you logistically run a game where one character has essentially 5 characters? One player has 5 characters. Like, what do the logistics look like that? Like, are you actually playing a game or are you just sitting around like, I don't know what this is. And my character, who, need I remind you, was still the servant of the token good god that fought and lost to this race. Okay, well, she had nothing, only said enchanted armor set and sorted by the goddess of beauty for my in-game efforts during the prologue boss fight. In fact, by playing cocky vigilante persona, I haven't even established my character as confident and experienced knight. New DM had decided to punish me for my overconfidence and brash attitude, and while I was giving advice to allied NPCs on our war council, was shunned and threatened to be incarcerated. Okay, so you're getting the shaft a little bit. This is okay. So this is exactly what happens when, as the game master, you give another player like 5 characters to run. They get 5 characters, and the person said that nothing they could do would like overcome them or defeat them, right? So one player is getting all of these special benefits, and then another player isn't getting anything, relatively speaking. This is the exact sort of thing that a game master has to be wary of, and not playing favorites essentially and giving one player all of these cool, amazing things, because then the other players feel like they got shafted and gypped. Like, this player got special magical armor. Now in my games, if I give you special magical armor out of the gate, that's a pretty big deal. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, that would be special treatment, right? But I got to make sure everybody gets something. But when one player gets the cool armor and then another one gets like special NPCs that adventure with him, well, yeah, then one person got shafted because it isn't fair. It's not equitable. So yeah, this is game mastering 101, where you got to treat your players fairly. Absolutely. And this is exactly what happens when you don't. People feel like they got shafted, as evidenced here. And that's one more thing that stacks up against the game master and how the game master is running the game. Then came our infiltration mission of the basically big bads, or so I thought, Lair, who hosted a large party. Yes, he did that in the middle of war and in a besieged town. Let's just say that their situation went absolutely foobar. Druid's actions made us basically obey all the wacky and absurd big bad forced us to do, as his, and I learned later mine, important background characters were held captive. Then there came the second alchemist's problem. What he did was unleash a literal eldritch monster upon our party during the mock arena battle for the entertainment of Big Bad's guests. This was another moment where I had to break my character's logic and do nothing, because even after we defeated this monster, everyone else reacted to the event as water under the bridge. Okay, look at this is stupid. Like, this is if you run games like this, where the character, earlier in the story, the person mentioned that there was in-character and out-of-character conflict and drama. And well, of course there is, because you have players attacking other players. Like, when you allow PvP into your games, there is a high likelihood that feathers are going to get ruffled. And if you compound it, when you already have a group that's a little bit like questionable, like you have a game master running, the game master is toxic according to this person, the OP's description, and they have a very questionable or I don't know, very dark setup to their campaign that they're running. And when you have that sort of these dynamics in a group, and then you allow PvP on top of it, well, of course people are gonna get pissed at each other. Of course people are gonna get upset. Like, that's what's gonna happen. Like, you're literally, you got a pressure cooker and you're adding all of the ingredients in there for a grand explosion. Like, the writing is on the wall when you're doing this sort of thing. Like, this just seems like, it seems obvious, obvious that this can't go anywhere but poorly. Once again, what did my character get for this whole mess of a situation? I barely managed to buy out 3 not terribly powerful or important NPCs from my character's backstory from slavery, in addition for immense amount of work and time that I've put into this infiltration mission, as well as broken artifacts from the character's backstory. And even then, for these NPCs and items, she had to give up the idea of saving her fiancé, a person that was essential to her backstory. There was now another grudge that I had against the new DM. So you don't feel like you're getting treated fairly, right? Like, you have to, okay. All right, so you're not getting treated fairly, and things keep stacking up against the new DM. But I still don't know why you're in the game to begin with. Like, I don't understand why you joined the game to begin with, and I don't understand, like, when things start to go poorly, as you knew that they must, why you stay in the game. Like, this is the type of game that you should drop out of. I mean, yeah, you should have never joined to begin with, but, you know, everybody makes bad decisions. But, like, you should drop out of this. Run away from the alleyway. So, out of sheer will not to turn the aftermath of infiltration into slaughter between our party members, Druid couldn't return to our allies due to characters from his background being held hostage, and the alchemist simply didn't want to. Okay, so you now have splitting the party. Now we're adding splitting the party onto it. Like the game master or the players are deciding to split the party, and so now I feel like this story is probably crossing into like almost every problematic area that you possibly can. It's like we're just checking off the boxes of different things in this story. My character went and basically negotiated the contract between our party and the big bad in order to save the druid background characters. Okay, so one other thing too, like the campaign just began and you're already confronting the big bad. What kind of campaign starts like that? Like cuts right to the chase. We're going after the big bad of the entire campaign from the beginning. Unless this is like a one-shot campaign or something, which might be its saving grace, this train wreck. I did this with clear-cut intention to betray him somewhere along the lines. Sadly, that's where the wizard comes into the picture. He was chosen as the leader of our now officially formed party, which isn't actually together because 2 of the characters aren't with the rest of the group by the sounds of this, and was adamant on being neutral and not risking too much. I knew then and there that it'd be a catastrophic ride for my character. What, you didn't know this beforehand? You should have known it would be a catastrophic ride before the game began. You can't say that now it's a catastrophic ride. Everybody saw the writing on the wall. Because as soon as we left the big bad's lair on our quest to recruit guests for his party, our squad just became absolutely chaotic and unlawful bandits. Well, of course, that's the type of game you're playing. That's completely the type of game you're playing. On our path, and you created a good character. So you, like, the game master pitched a campaign that was like dark, horrible, all this horrible stuff going on. Your other players rolled up characters that were bad people, essentially, and they're doing bad stuff. And then the one person rolls up a good aligned character. Like, this is like the perfect little explosion ready to happen, you know? So yeah, this is like the thing where, like, in the session 0 or whatever, there should be this conversation of like what characters everybody's running so that we can make sure that it works in the context of the campaign that the game master is running. Because when you have somebody who is running a character that doesn't fit in, there's going to be lots of conflict. So this should have been part of that conversation before this campaign ever began, and it should have never began probably too. On our path, we later attacked the human militia that was hunting down elves just because the wizard was afraid to fight said elves. And as you'd have guessed, they're OP as crap, and due to me trash talking both the elves and the wizard in character because of that decision, got threatened and shunned once again. Well, you created a character that goes against the vein of the campaign. So yeah. And also allied him. We've later learned that the alchemist was also continuing his research on eldritch beings, and also allied himself with Doomsday Cult, although now he was trying to hide behind the noble goals. The wizard was more or less fine with it, only saying that it's dangerous in character. The last straw for me and the druid was encounter with a necromancer we found during our travels. This is the last straw. Okay, we're on to the last straw now. The necromancer was openly admitted to raiding and destroying peaceful settlements. The wizard came up with a brilliant idea to recruit him as a guest and send him right to the big bad. Yeah, here's the great ideas. Let's take the evil guy, recruit him to our cause, and send him after the big bad. That probably isn't going to go well. Probably not gonna go well. That day, me and the druid decided to conspire against the wizard and the alchemist. Okay, so now we have more PvP. We have more PvP in the game. Why? Like, there is a world full of bad guys. There's a world full of bad guys. Literally, the game masters put a world full of bad guys, and you're attacking each other. Does anybody, this is stupid. Like, of course you're all gonna get pissed at each other. Of course this game is gonna implode. There can be no other end to an implosion when you have this cauldron of volatility that everybody is brewing. It's not just the game master, the players are helping to brew it. The OP is helping to brew this. They're all working together to create this impending explosion. Good gravy. That day, the wizard, me and the druid decided to conspire against the wizard and the alchemist, outright deciding to kill their characters and turn our campaign into something more lawful. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay, so there's only, if two players are conspiring to kill the characters of two other players, that campaign is not gonna last. Like, if you kill their characters out of character, you're all gonna hate each other. The whole group is gonna implode. Like, this doesn't work. You can't neatly separate in-character actions from out-of-character feelings. You can't separate those two things. You can't. If you do things in character to screw over a player's character, they're going to not like it out of character, almost guaranteed. Now, there's a small amount of very mature groups out there where they can do that. This is clearly not one of them. Not even close to being one of them. We've gathered all of our NPCs and prepared an ambush. An ambush that turned into slaughter. Okay, so you made an ambush with your NPCs. It turned into a slaughter of my character, the druid, and our NPCs. You see, new DM came up with the brilliant idea of giving both of them not only powerful NPCs and allies, but nigh immortality. Our ambush didn't do a thing. Not only our NPCs were considerably weaker, my level 8 and 5 fighters, along with level 6 ranger and level 4 expert versus level 9 paladin and level 6 gunslinger, bard, and fighter. We just didn't have any means of killing the wizard and the alchemist. This does not surprise me. Does this surprise anybody? Come on. The former had this as a mechanic and character trait established in the process of creation, while the latter was straight up rewarded for his research of all things eldritch. And here we were, the good guys, that had tried negotiating and arguing both in character and out of character, killed off as some random mooks. The whole campaign is a train wreck at this point. This should not be surprising to you. I went absolutely ballistic and left our server then and there. You should have done that before. You should have done that 3 years ago. I should also note that new DM didn't try to contact me after the incident. Why would they? And only the players encouraged me to talk with him about the situation, which didn't end so well. I just lashed out at him over and over again. You can't. I'm gonna finish the story. So, am I the butthead for leaving and bad-mouthing the new DM? Is he really just playing favorites? Well, yes, he's playing favorites. Or I'm too paranoid and that's what led to eventual PvP. No! Too long didn't read. I feel like my DM is playing favorites and gifting the players who do morally wrong choices, which forced me to start PvP in order to create more good campaign. After losing my character, I rage quit the game. Am I the butthead? And it feels like to me that the OP is created a character that goes against the vein of that campaign. Like, that campaign's premise seems to be set up in such a way that, like, you're going to have a crap show. The world is set up to be a crap show, and it's dark and bad things are happening. And the OP's character, they positioned them in such a way that they wanted to change that and turn it into a good campaign. I feel like they were fighting against the current of the campaign. They were fighting against the current of what the other players wanted to do in the campaign. They were fighting against the current of what the game master wanted to do in that campaign. And so, I mean, you didn't create a character that fit into the context of the campaign. So I think that was one of the errors. I think the other big error here was just joining the game. Like, you should have never joined that game. Like, you had a supposedly toxic player who was going to be the game master, right? I think that was a big mistake. You should have never joined the game. Are you a butthead for leaving the game? No, you should have left the game much sooner than you did. That game. Listen, here's the thing. There are some games, some campaigns, and some groups that are just not good fits for people. Like, that was not your group. Now, that's the type of group that there are probably lots of people who would love playing in that, because that's the type of thing they dig. But like, that wasn't for you. That was not a good fit for you. You should have not joined it. You should have found a different game that was something more appealing to you and wasn't being run by a game master who you knew, or you, from your point of view, was toxic and was not good for the game, right? So you should have never joined that game. Are you bad for bad mouthing the new DM? I mean, you know, everybody's got to talk about their crap. Everybody's got to get stuff off their chest. Is he playing favorites? He's clearly playing favorites. He's clearly playing favorites, but like, you kind of, I mean, shoot, dude, if that's the campaign that you're running and some characters are going with the campaign and other characters are going against the campaign, like, it's hard not to favor the players whose characters are actually doing the thing the campaign was built for, I guess. I don't know. Am I too paranoid and that's what led to the eventual PvP? No, the PvP was an inevitable result of that campaign, the premise of that campaign, and probably the player styles. Like, that was inevitable. Like, there was just a cauldron building there, and PvP was probably a natural result. So I don't think that the OP caused the PvP. No, actually, he literally did. He literally said that he started to conspire with the druid to kill off the other two characters. So, but there was PvP before then too. The alchemist started the PvP, and then this is all just like a snowball rolling downhill and getting worse and worse and worse. So he probably didn't start the PvP, somebody else did, but the game master allowed the PvP, and then the OP played into the PvP. But like, you should have rage quit that game. You should have never joined that game at all.